It's fine. So we just should get started.
Okay. Our German correspondent in Paris right now, who just toured whole France during the French elections, and who kept an amazing blog on WordPress, who had some very interesting tweets and others on the social media to follow. And then we have Rosalie, who campaigned, who was a campaign member of the Benoît Hamon campaign, but who originally was in the team of Yannick Jadot. We have still one other speaker joining, but he's having some difficulties, but we will at least get started already. So just to, and myself, I'm Johan, the moderator of tonight, co-coordinator of the FYEG Future of Europe Working Group. So just to recall, Macron won the elections, surprise, surprise. The numbers are 75% of people voted in France, 25% abstained. Out of those, then Macron won with 65%, more or less. Marine Le Pen lost with around 34%, and 8% submitted a white or blanco vote, which is these are all record numbers. Record numbers because Macron is the second highest percentage of winning after Jacques Chirac in 2002, also against Le Pen. Then Le Pen doubled numbers. So that's also a surprising fact. 11 million voters voted for Front National or extreme right in France. Then we have a record number of white or blanco votes. And we have a record number of abstentions. So full of records. And I will ask my speakers immediately what they think about all of these records. And I will start maybe with a surprising question. Should the left be happy after this election? Because we had Marine Le Pen or Fillon in first instance, and now we have a center candidate at one. So should we maybe be a little bit happy today? Do you want to start with this one?
Mesdames.
I start. We're not happy. Of course, we're not happy. We're relieved, just like this. We're relieved because even though France is not United States, because it's not the same system of votes. Hello, Ryan, who's joining us. The risk that Marine Le Pen was elected was very thin, but still real, because the amount of abstention, if you remember 2 weeks ago, we talked that Jean-Luc Mélenchon didn't give any call to vote in favor of Emmanuel Macron. He organized short referendum through his supporters. So still, if we imagine that Mélenchon or other candidates, ex-candidates, would have called for abstention, for example, which was still possible, of course we would have had Marine Le Pen for president. It's very interesting to notice that I think that 60%, 70% of the voters voted in favor of voters of Emmanuel Macron voted for him because they wanted to. We say in French that we have a barrier to protect the Republic to not vote in favor of Marine Le Pen. To me, it's really important to say that. Also, we have to say that Emmanuel Macron, like the campaign between the two rounds was very, I don't know how to say, like not that good, not that strong. Marine Le Pen was very bad, especially the debate last Thursday was very, very violent. Emmanuel Macron didn't have the occasion to explain any of his proposition of reform or whatever. Marine Le Pen was very, very strongly attacking him, like personally. And the Emmanuel Macron, as I said 2 weeks ago, it was just as if he had already won anyway. So he was not really campaigning. And I think that his speech yesterday, which was very...
Which of the two?
Which of the two? Yes, I wanted to ask that.
The first.
The first.
I confess that I didn't feel strong enough to watch the second. So I didn't watch the second, I watched only the first. And it was something I felt like recorded, and it was very mechanic. It was like he was just reading a text. And at the moment I thought that maybe he was realizing that so he has now the responsibility to figure out how to keep the France together, because the country is totally split in different parts between the left, the extreme right, and everything. And so he has to be more strong than ever, than he has never been before. So it was the first moment that I thought that maybe he's realizing his responsibility in the issue that's now in France. Okay. If anybody wants to complete?
I will already quickly introduce Johan, who just joined us from the Jeunes Écologistes in France. Maybe you want to introduce yourself very briefly?
Yes, I'm sorry for the delay, and it was a bit hard to connect, and it's my first time, so and sorry for my English too, because I think it will be a bit hard to. So I'm Johan, and I'm in the executive committee of the Jeunes Écologistes. I wasn't here 2 weeks ago, but now I'm here, so I don't really know what I have to say actually, but I can help you to tell you what we did for the campaign and what we do after the election of Emmanuel Macron. So I let you continue.
Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot for your introduction. So also for the ones who are listening to us, we will first have just a small debate in between ourselves, but feel free to already post questions on the YouTube live and also on the Facebook page. I will then ask these questions to our speakers. Feel free to ask very difficult questions about French elections, the campaign, but also the aftermath, so which means the parliamentary elections taking place in France in just a month. And this is also taking place in 2 rounds. Let's continue. So maybe with Niels. Niels, you traveled throughout France. What were your last impressions? Because you went to Andorra last week. You've been to many places. What were your latest impressions? And maybe tell us a surprising fact of Andorra, because Macron is now also co-prince of Andorra, or what is it?
Exactly. So after these 3 weeks, and answering also to the question before, if the French left is now happy, I guess I can't consider me part of the French left. So I saw that so many different points and so many convictions and comments that I couldn't share. So in the French political field, I'm totally lost, and the image of me going from every region to another is also pretty fine with the political landscape. I think I've been touring the political landscape as much as I did tour the country. And also interesting was that I had really nice conversations with all of the people involved. So I've been also talking with Republicans, I've been talking with people who are huge fans of Macron. I've been entering the headquarters of the Front National in Igny-Bourmont, and I managed to stay in for 5 or 6 minutes before the chef threw me out. So that was also kind of good. So, and it's really not that such a nice atmosphere in there. You have the posters from Marine Le Pen on all sides. She's watching you. You feel like in the office of this bad witch in Hogwarts, which was surveying the students. So it's not the nicest place to be. And this contributed to ask me how I feel and how I felt. Arriving in Paris on Sunday morning at 12 o'clock in pouring rain, after sleeping only 4 hours for 2 nights, I felt so bad because being in Yves day before, some days before in Rennes, where there were the first May demonstrations, a few days before in Toulouse, where it was at the ni Le Pen ni Macron demonstration, and all people saying we are going to abstain, we are going to abstain. I really, really feared the worst. So now I'm feeling way better. And to Andorra, because you asked that, which I didn't answer yet. There, I felt really well because there were really nice chaps around, and the people I talked to mostly didn't have any idea what's going on in France. So there was a 16-year-old guy and asked him, yeah, now second tour, who would you vote, Marine Le Pen or Emmanuel Macron? And he looked at me, the other. I don't know him, but I don't vote Le Pen. So that's something I would have loved to hear more often in France. You don't need to know who's against the fascists to vote for him. So I really like the Andorrans, and I think that they're quite happy with having Macron as their co-prince yet now.
Okay, that adds to this royalistic things he celebrated in the Louvre.
Want to join something? So it was yesterday at the Carrousel de Louvre, with all the people being way more happy than I guess anywhere else in France with this election. So they were really enthusiastic, and it was so royalistic. So there was really the incarnation of the how do you say
Republican monarch.
Yeah, the Republican monarch. Like he was getting in with the European anthem. And so royal is something, some of the words we could use, yes.
Yeah.
So he knows the co-prince.
Good that you mentioned the Ode to Joy, Niels. That's a question for Maria I have. As co-spokesman of FYEG, Federation of Young European Greens, how did you feel when you heard the Ode to Joy and Macron walking up to the stage? Were you positively surprised, or were you like, oh, come on?
No, I to be honest, I did like Rosalie. I was not. I listened to the first speech of Macron, and then I didn't. I was not watching TV when this happened. I watched it afterwards in the evening, so not live. No, I felt happy. I think this is quite. This is a symbol to play the European anthem. Sorry, some noise around. No, of course this is symbolic. This is a way, I think, a way to also go away from this kind of national republican monarchy where we feel like there is something else that is here. And I guess this was a symbolic choice for Macron to do this, to show also to give a message towards the European counterparts of France, but also at the international level, that France was still in the game, and that France wanted to be part of this international game of nations. Let's say it was a message, of course, I guess, against the far right. No, I think it's a good thing. And I think we should listen to this anthem way more often in general. And yeah, I mean, we always have we don't always, but we at every eventually in 2012 the Green candidate, and this time I think it was Philippe Poutou from Trotsky's party proposed. So every time there is one candidate at the presidential election who proposed that maybe that the anthem is changed because it's a really violent, very nationalist, very anti-German actually anthem. And so this is something that is on in France, and I think this is a good symbol. The rest of the evening didn't go that well.
I think we were talking just before about the naked woman on stage and everything. I don't know if everything was calculated this way. I don't know if everything was a good sign, but for sure, this is a good signal for Europe. But I think there will be lots of expectations on Macron's policy towards Europe and how he's gonna engage into reforming it.
Yeah.
Because there were high demands during the campaign, as we were talking in the first meeting, especially the left, but also the far right results show that there is a big mistrust towards Europe. So he has a lot to do, and we are not. I think in the left we are not convinced he's gonna actually do this.
Okay.
Because this is not what he said he would do anyway. Yeah.
Okay, then I have one more question, and that's for Johan from the Jeunes Ecologistes, because last time we didn't have anyone from the Jeunes Ecologistes really represented during the webinar. So could you maybe detail us a little bit of your campaign actions during the French during these French elections, and was there a big difference between the first tour and the second tour? How did you focus in the first tour, and what was your focus now in the second tour, or did you still undertake actions during the second tour?
Okay, the thing is that before the first tour, I don't know what you said, if you know what happened before the first tour. I don't know what did I say. I'm sorry. The thing, they didn't really take part of the official campaign because of several things. The first thing, one of the things is that we didn't really get a candidate of an ecologist candidate because he joined Benoît Hamon, and before he joined him, we were not really taking part of the campaign because we decided to in the propositions to I'm sorry, I don't find the word in English. We decided not to support a candidate, but support a project. That's why we got 17 propositions on our project, and we decided to get the to lead the campaign with this proposition on the internet or in the different local groups. What we did before the first tour. And between the first and the second tour, it was different because now it was obvious that we didn't want to Marine Le Pen as a president. So even if we didn't want Emmanuel Macron either, we preferred to call to vote against Marine Le Pen, and we focused on this topic during the 2 weeks.
Any concrete actions or?
It was very fast in 2 weeks. So the local groups participated to the different demonstrations in the street, etc. We communicated on the internet and so on, and in the press. But we got contacts with the other young parties on the left, like Young Socialist or Young Communist, and so on. And I don't know if it's syndicate.
Yeah.
Yes, the Young Syndicate, the students and the college. That's what we did between the 2 tours.
Okay.
And after, it depends on the different local groups. They participated. They did other things in the street during the.
Okay.
And it was a bit difficult because, of course, if we didn't want to vote for Marine Le Pen, but it's hard to really support Emmanuel Macron because ancient government, and we have a lot of things against him too, and we are not at all confident for the next 5 years.
Yeah,
it's hard to really call for vote for him and to be enthusiastic, but we did it, and now we have to continue and we are getting prepared for the next 5 years, and also for the elections for parliamentary.
Okay.
We call for ecologists and the left. But we are left, like Jean-Luc Mélenchon, and to the chance to get a lot of deputies.
Yeah, deputies in the parliament.
Yes, exactly. Maybe not the majority, because it will be very, very hard, but to get a stronger minority and to lead the parliament as well. Sorry for my English.
No problem. So for the ones who are listening, feel free to post any questions you want on the YouTube live on Facebook. And now that we started to talk about the parliamentary elections, maybe Rosalie or Marie, could you maybe explain us briefly how these parliamentary elections work in France? What is the process? How does it work? Briefly, could you enlighten us?
Okay, I can. Briefly, we have 577 constituency all over France, including, we say, France.
Outre-mer.
No, abroad.
French people living in other countries.
Yeah,
we have around 3 million people, 3 million French people living abroad. Yeah.
How's it working for them?
They have also constituencies, but they are really big, like America.
Yeah. North America,
yeah.
South America, Africa. And it has to have the gender balance. So, for example, I am personally candidate in Western France, and I am the titulaire. I am, let's say, the main candidate, and I have somebody who can replace me in case I'm elected and I can't work for my mandate anymore. I have somebody who can replace me, and he's a man. And so, yeah, it's gender balanced all over France, and depending on the country, the regions, and everything. And so this is how the system works. And so, like this, we elect our National Assembly, and the National Assembly is supposed to, no, it's not like this. The president nominates the prime minister according to the result of the parliamentary election. So that's why, for example, the supporters of Jean-Luc Mélenchon say Jean-Luc Mélenchon could become the prime minister if he wins, if his party wins the parliamentary election. So that's it. At the moment, yes,
he's talking.
Johan, you're talking, but we cannot hear you.
Yeah. What are the percent parliament? How many seats do the Republicans have now in parliament, and how many seats do the Socialists have now in parliament?
Oh,
do you know that more or less, or?
The Socialists have the majority. They are around 300 and more than that, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but the Socialist group kind of split during the mandate between the supporters of François Hollande and let's say, the leftists. And also, Jean-Luc Mélenchon doesn't have any parliament, any MP at the moment at the National Assembly. There are communists there who are supporters officially of Jean-Luc Mélenchon, but not more. And we had us Greens. We had a group, and you can get a group at the National Assembly, and I mean, having a group means also means a big coordination. And at the beginning of the mandate, we had 18, I think, MPs, and the group split again. The half of the group joined the Socialists, and we had 12, I think, MPs left. Yeah. Okay. So that's it, and we are not even sure that all of our MPs will be re-elected. Also because some of them they are not running again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like from a green point of view, we're not sure that this election will be a success for us.
Yeah. How are the Greens getting prepared for this election? Are they getting prepared? First question. And are they already looking for alternatives?
Yeah, maybe I can answer. So the 2 rounds will take place 11th and 18th of June. So it's in 2 rounds, and all the parties that makes more, also just to complete, that makes more than 12.5% on the first round are allowed. Yeah, in the constituency. So we are allowed to go in the second round, which means that there can be lots of parties in the second round. I mean, in general, it's maximum 3 or something of candidates, I mean. The problem is that now the strategy for many of the political parties in France is that they will send, of course, candidates everywhere. So there will be 577 candidates for the far right, 577 candidates for the Republicans, 577 candidates for Macron, 577 candidates for the Greens, and 577 candidates for Mélenchon, for the France Insoumise. We have, and of course there will be also communists and the socialists on top of this. It's going to be, I mean, it's going to be very difficult, especially because on the left, as you can see, it will be very divided. We have the socialists, the Greens, the France Insoumise, the communists that have really minor agreements. For example, the Greens and the socialists have an agreement in regards to 50 constituencies. So it's a really small agreement somehow, where either the Greens are supporting the socialist candidate, either the socialists are supporting the Green. So it's quite complicated. Of course, it's being prepared. We have also some agreements with the the Green Party. Sorry, the Green Party has also some agreements with the Communists in some places, but very few, less than 5. Now the point is to make also an agreement with the France Insoumise, because of course these are the big winners of the left from the presidential elections. Mélenchon made 19%. He managed to mobilize lots of people, and of course he has a strong authority in the left now, and whatever. But there are lots of conflicts. It's basically Mélenchon doesn't want to make alliances with the Greens.
Okay.
Yeah, he refused. It was asked.
No, it's not just with the Greens, it's with anybody.
With everyone.
Like Jean-Luc Mélenchon doesn't make agreements.
Yeah, and it's a different way of doing politics than what we are used to. It's normal that, especially for parliamentary elections, there are supports from here and there. But Mélenchon, because he has now this movement, France Insoumise, and he's not part of a party anymore, he's saying that he wants to destroy the party structures, and that basically it should be him or nothing. And there is clearly a goal that is being seen at the moment and witnessed, and this is really sad, than to call for the Greens to vote, to basically not have candidates and go with France Insoumise or nothing. And this is the only option. And of course, this is something that is difficult for the Greens, because in any way, parliamentary elections are also big, an important moment for financial life of the political parties in France. This is how parties get money, basically, because the more you get votes, the more you get money at the parliamentary elections. And that's why these political deals also have a financial implication. And that's why there are parties who are, of course, reluctant to build this majority, because if the Greens go totally for the France Insoumise, basically the Greens will cease to exist, because they will have no money anymore. This is any chance for them to get financed. So there is these two things. There is a political goals, and there is a financial sustainability of any political party, where you need to kind of go around. And one last thing, it was just about the deal with the socialists that we have, that the Green Party has, sorry, again. They made this deal 15 days ago, something like this, 3 weeks ago, so before the first round. And now it has been announced by the direction of the Socialist Party that the program that was before that based on Benoît Hamon candidature was swept from basic income, from a lot of green achievements that we were supporting as Greens. And basically the Socialist Party is coming back to the Hollande line. So the one that was defended, yeah, by a more liberal line, a less ecologist one, a less social one, etc. And so it was just announced a few days ago. So now there might be also a question within the Greens. I'm not sure. We will see in the coming days if they drop out of this deal with the Socialists. Maybe to make a deal with France Insoumise, who refuse absolutely to make any deal with Socialists. So yeah, things are moving, but the deadline for putting candidatures is 19th of May, so really, really soon, in 10 days basically. And it's really hard to make any alliance before, a new alliance. But things are moving a little bit, but it's quite bad for the moment.
I just to add something, Johan. So this financial issue is really, really important. Like it's something that the voters don't know about most of the time. But Emmanuel Macron, so was elected president. His movement En Marche is introducing some candidates like everywhere in France, and he says that at the very beginning. He says he wanted to put candidates everywhere, but like nobody who was elected before, only people from civil society, it will be very representing the population of France and everything. Finally, we have a center party in the center, and it was the only party who achieved to make an agreement with En Marche, with Macron, and they are allowed to be candidate for En Marche. So first resignation. And then finally, some socialists are saying that, yes, Emmanuel Macron, like Ségolène Royal, for example, who is the Minister of Environment of François Hollande, yesterday on TV set, she said that, yes, of course, Macron, she was very happy that Macron was elected president and everything. She didn't make a campaign anyway. So like many socialists will try to be candidate for Emmanuel Macron also. So in some constituency, it will become like amazing. So this is something I wanted to underline, that nobody can say at the moment who will be because Emmanuel Macron officially said that he don't want to have candidates from parties or former mayors or elected or MPs.
Today I have read that like 50% can be from the old parties and 50% shall be from civil society.
He's changing his mind more and more. And the other thing I wanted to underline is that, yes, on the field, like in some constituency, it's not a very big phenomenon, but people, supporters of Mélenchon and Greens and sometimes socialists can talk together and finally can make can achieve this agreement, like I said 2 weeks ago, one but not three candidates. So we'll see, but it's very difficult. It's like nobody can say what's going to happen now.
And so we have 2 questions in the YouTube chat.
Yeah, we have.
No, I just wanted to add, because just about the system in general, like we have these parliamentary elections all the time after the presidential election, and this has been made in a way that the French people are here to, the voters are called to basically give a majority to the president. Before, the president mandate was 7 years, and so it was cut in the middle by parliamentary elections. It was changed in 2000 and or before, like around 2000, it was changed, and now it passed to 5 years, and basically we aligned parliamentary elections and French elections. It's always like this, just to give basically a majority to the president. Here, it seems, there was a poll a few days ago where at least 50% of the French people were saying that that they didn't want Macron to have a majority, which would be really something particular, because in general this is when people vote for someone, they want also him to have a majority. Here, the fact that he's really new, the fact that nobody knows who will be invested by him, it makes it a bit more complicated, and that's why the parliamentary elections this year are very particularly different from the ones we had in the previous years, when generally just an approval. Here it's gonna be it's with more enjeu, it's with more challenge somehow, because and that's why medias are also focusing a lot on this, and all candidates on Sunday night, they were all talking only about parliamentary elections. And now, I mean, basically presidential campaigns.
Because we had one question as will most likely not have a majority in the parliament. Are the French Greens ready to support Macron's new liberal agenda, if that would also mean a fossil-free France? As a moderator, I already find it a tough question, because you just mentioned that Macron will likely not have a majority in parliament. The Greens might not even have an MP in parliament.
Oh, come on, now we
have maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 or 5.
So, come on. You have at least 10.
At least 10, I hear. Okay.
I don't know. I have already heard that there is the risk, like, that there are not going to be any left candidates at all, because they are all separated. And
no.
So I've heard that. So I would be too optimistic for Green candidates in the parliament.
Yeah, well, that's actually also a question for Johan from the Jeunes Ecologistes. What is happening now within the Jeunes Ecologistes? Because you're in the executive committee, but how are you reflecting on this? Would you like an alliance with La France Insoumise, or do you say, no, let's keep the socialists who are completely divided, or let's make a strong campaign ourselves?
Okay, what we say is that you want the bigger as possible, with everybody on the left who have an ecological program. It's not as easy as to say we don't want alliance with socialists, because some socialists are quite ecologist, like Benoît Hamon and supporters of Benoît Hamon, and the other socialists are it's almost like they almost support Macron. Them will be either candidate of Macron or will be majority after the election, maybe. So it's very different. It's hard to say we can support or not. And so what we want is
sorry, Johan, we really hear you quite badly.
Sorry?
We hear you quite badly. Can you maybe repeat, or
you don't understand me?
Maybe turn off your camera if that works better. I don't know.
Maybe. Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. What we say, it's hard to say that also. And actually, we make confident of the ecologist party, because we are not here to say we want an alliance with this candidate and not with this one, etc. We make confidence of the ecologist party, best accord with some socialists and with some candidates of La France Insoumise. What we want is to have the biggest alliance possible with ecologist candidate, and actually we don't think it's possible ecologist candidates from the Green Party everywhere, because it's possible, but we won't have any, or maybe 1 or 2 MP at the end, and it's not want. We know all all the things about finance and about the political issues, etc. But what we want is to have the possibility to have a voice in the parliament, and so we really need to have an alliance with La France Insoumise and with some socialists and with some communists too. And what I say before is that at the national, it's not evident to have some alliance, but sometimes it's also possible at the local. We as ecologists or our young Greens, we know a lot of communists, a lot of guys from La France Insoumise and from a socialist party, and we know it's possible to alliance also at the local level. So that's why we really want that. And after, we are not a party, and we are not here to practice with anybody. So it's hard. We just say that we would like that, and after we will see. And in the campaign, we will continue to propose our 70s proposition, and we'll try to talk to the candidates, any candidates, because we don't really know, and I think it won't be the same. How do you say? It won't be the same candidates from the same party in any sector. It will be different. It will be a lot of different cases. So we can't have a national communication, or not really, for these elections. So we'll let the local groups to decide how they want to make a campaign, maybe for a candidate, maybe for several candidates, or just talk to the candidates to talk about our 17 proposition, and just so yeah, you know what I mean. Sorry. Is it okay?
No, I see. These are tough times. These are tough times. Maybe moving to a next question, which was also on the YouTube chat, was that how did Marine Le Pen get as far as she did? So, as I said, she got 11 million votes, which is a record number. The discourse of the Front National is normalized in the French society, which is scary, to say the least. And then we sorry, Rosalie, and let me finish my question. But then she also mentioned yesterday, Marine Le Pen, during her speech, change the name of Front National, and they would move with a broader name, or a name that could catch even more voters for the parliamentary elections. Do you have any more information on this? And how do you feel about Marine Le Pen getting 11 million votes?
I think I'll start.
Yourselves, who can start?
Yeah, I'll start with some things that before the others go shouting, I'll start with some, as they both prepare. I'll start with some things I saw on the journey. So the first one is that the Front National has become the natural vote of a lot of people. So especially in the north and in the south, it is your
extreme north and the extreme south. Like there is a zone in the middle.
A little zone which is Paris, which was different. No, but really, a lot of people, for them, it's just the normal, the natural thing to vote Front National, because they are the only ones who represent them, who are there for them to fight against Paris, against the world, and against everything else that is threatening them. There is she has really positioned her as the only one defending the people who have a bad life, who are in a bad position, and who are threatened by the globalization and also the system. So she seems to be the only anti-system candidate, and that's why a lot of people really say this is my candidate. And also in the north especially, it's my family votes Front National, my friends vote Front National. I need to vote Front National. And so this is really, it's a natural vote for a lot of people in France now. And also what I have seen is that the discourse, the public discourse has switched so far to the right. I attended a rally of Sarkozy in the primary elections, so half a year ago, and he was putting forward some points that the extreme right in Germany wouldn't dare to say. The discourse of the Front National with getting people who are without a job into the army against their will and stuff like that is just crazy, and shows that and legitimizes the Front National. I think that these are 2 points that really a lot carry to this.
Yeah.
Now it's time for shouting girls.
You can start here.
No, but it's it was a perfect sum up of the problem. The problem is not, to me, the problem is not the left. The problem is the right. The right didn't have a project. We have to come back until 2002 maybe to remember that what the right did in favor of the Front National voters. Really, they just went more and more and more on the right side, and what was really frightening at the end of the mandate of François Hollande was that we saw that the socialists came more and more on the right. Like when we had the attacks of the 13th of November, just before the COP21, François Hollande said that he wanted to take off the nationality of the people who had a double nationality. Like, can you imagine somebody of the left implementing such a reform? So the main reason is, to me, to like this. What you talked about, the fact that Marine Le Pen said that she wanted to change the Front National. To me, it's totally, I don't know how to say, but fake. It's totally a fake reform, because so Marine Le Pen is the daughter of Jean-Marie Le Pen, who was at the second round of the presidential election 15 years ago, and now he's really too old, like he's totally crazy. So I don't know when he will die, but like we can say that shortly. But Marine Le Pen has a niece, Marion Maréchal Le Pen. She's an MP. She's elected in the south. And she has exactly the same political line than not her aunt, but her grandfather. Whatever. Jean-Marie Le Pen, the old guy. So to me, the danger is more on this side, because I don't think that Marine Le Pen will succeed in changing the National Front, the Front National. Like, to me, it's totally impossible, because I don't know if we can go further, deeper into details, but Marine Le Pen's first advisor is Florian Philippot, and Florian Philippot is really somebody who is I don't know how to say, but trying to smooth the image of the Front National in the public opinion. He's very, very good at this, but they are really. I mean, the Front National is not a democratic party, so you cannot say which political lines has the biggest weight. But I'm sure they are in minority. Marine Le Pen said she wanted to change the name. She wanted to make a lot of reforms. I don't think that she can make it just like this. It's impossible, really.
They can change the name, but the heart of the Front National is going to be the same.
Yeah, I think it's necessary for the far right to change his name, for the Front National to change. Like we could see here, even in this election, where the Front National is really normalized, still there is this barrier. There's still that thing that works and that gather most of the people against it. So I think if they want to go further, at least they should change the name, and then it becomes really dangerous. I mean, the situation is already like disastrous. This is what happened is frightening. I mean, just for my personal thing, I learned that in my village where I come from, where there is 500 inhabitants, there was 51% who voted for Le Pen. And this is frightening, because this is a place where I go really often, and I realize that half of the people are voting Front National, and this is I mean, all my family was a bit shaken by this news. And I can imagine that in most of the villages in France, it has been the same kind of results. But yeah, and I think it's quite interesting how Marine Le Pen led her campaign, where she was named Marine. She was never called Le Pen, as Macron was called Macron. And we were talking Macron and Marine, and this is how people were saying. And yeah, this all of these speaking things, La France Bleu Marine, the Front National was out as a logo, out of any kind of campaigning material. She put a big distance, and even this didn't kind of work. I mean, it worked a lot, but not until the end. At debates, I mean, she revealed her true nature. But yeah, they have a core group of voters who will never, who have a really low chance to come back to the kind of mainstream politics. And this is what is dangerous, because the more they grow up in number of votes, now it's 11 million people, it means that the core group is rising. And of course, this is frightening for the next elections, and I'm not even talking about 2022, that people are already talking about, of course. But I'm talking about regional, local, and parliamentary elections that are coming in 1 month. It's gonna be very hard, and Le Front National will be on the second round in many circumscriptions. And if we don't have a strong Republican front, it will be very, very hard. And if we have too many candidates from Republican, if we are divided, this will be super hard. So yes, of course, this is frightening.
I just have two more things. That one funny story about what you say, that Marine Le Pen actually tried to smooth her image. She even, between the 2 rounds of the presidential elections, she resigned from the presidency of the Front National. And what is very funny is that the guy who became president, as it was written in the statuses, he was a total negotiationist. So he had himself to resign 3 days after. It was like they realized, oh crap, we have a racist and anti-Semitic guy who's not president. No, come on. So they put somebody else who was more smooth and at the presidency of the party. And I also would like to add that to me, Emmanuel Macron is personally like the incarnation of what I hate in politics, because he doesn't have any ideology. We don't know what he thinks about anything, and he's always changing his mind. He's not at all like in green policies. It's the permanent facepalm, and so to me this makes the Front National raising, because he will create more and more inequalities, more and more despair. Not yet, but I mean, Emmanuel Macron will not go on the left side like tomorrow. It doesn't happen like this. He's a really
the majority in parliament, right?
What?
It depends on how many MPs there are in parliament from the left.
If there is a majority against him, Macron will be basically out of any power. A president without his government cannot do anything. He will be our representative.
Is it the first time for a coalition now in the parliament after the
last election? No, it's not the first time.
In 1997.
Well, if they, okay.
But
and the action of the government was blocked for 5 years.
Yeah, the action of the government was blocked. So to me, if Emmanuel Macron doesn't get a majority, so the debate will be split between the extreme right and the forces of the left, who will maybe not be able to ally. So I don't know. But Emmanuel Macron also said that he wanted to implement a part of proportion for the next parliamentary elections, which means that the next parliamentary elections will not happen in 5 years, but he will provoke parliamentary elections during his mandate. So maybe the composition of our parliament will change, like in 2 or 3 years. We don't know. So the story is not finished yet, not at all.
We're running out of time. It's 9 p.m.
Do we have any more questions?
No. Rosalie, what are you planning? Animating yourself? So what are your plans?
So, for my campaign?
For your own campaign, are you?
I must say that I will not campaign that much because I don't have like any chance to be elected. But what it is interesting to know is that if a party presents more than 50 candidates in 50 constituency, and that the national score is above 5%, then every vote, no, c'est pas ça.
It's a 1% in more than 50 constituencies.
Yeah.
So it's not a lot actually. Then every vote
brings €1.50 to the party. So if I can get 300 votes, then I will gain €450 for the Green Party. So that's why I'm very motivated to campaign. But that's true. But even though I have no chance, there is no probability I will be elected. So that will be fun. But okay, my serious plans are, of course, that to rebuild a strong opposition, green, left, European, democratic, and we have many forces, political forces in presence. So we'll see what will happen. But I don't think that anything will happen before the summer.
Okay, one little. So Rosalie, you were in the socialist campaign in the first round of the elections. But the socialists are now totally divided between the Macron camp and the really left. And yesterday we heard the voice of the left Mélenchon at the moment. I didn't hear Benoit yesterday evening, yes or no?
Yeah, he talked in the same time than Jean-Luc Mélenchon, in the same time. So the TV channels preferred Jean-Luc Mélenchon. So I didn't hear his speech, but he said that he said one interesting thing. He said that he wanted to support candidates campaigning not for Emmanuel Macron.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting because many socialists say that they wanted to campaign for Emmanuel Macron. So we are the Socialist Party is splitting more and more.
Okay.
But Hamon is not acting in a very. I mean, we don't really know what his plans are. He was very silent in the last 2 weeks. But it seems like he is willing to kind of get to get a strong position within the Socialist Party and waiting for the Congress to kind of get there, which is a bit unfortunate because there was hopes that maybe he would go out of the Socialist Party, who betrayed him, and that he could kind of be the leader or whatever of a more eco-socialist movement, let's say, that could gather the Greens, the Communists, the Front de Gauche, and everything. I mean, all of these progressive movements that are really close to each other, that really want to ally with each other, but who can't, either because of France Insoumise, either because of socialist parties that are blocking on the two ways the alliance. But all of the other political parties, the whole left, let's say, spectrum is willing to ally outside of these two blocks. And maybe Hamon, if he was willing enough to kind of like brave enough, even I would dare to say, he could have done this. Now it's a bit too late, and he's not going to do that, obviously, with the discourse he had yesterday. So he wants to stay within the Socialist Party, which can be also understandable. I mean, Socialist Party is an old traditional political family, but it's disturbing, of course, for the future of progressives.
But Marie, feel free to take up that role.
Yeah, the leader of the left.
You've got 2 weeks.
I will, yeah, don't worry. You will hear from me.
I'll vote for you. I don't have the right to, but...
There's also a good news, I see. Now that Macron the Socialist Party was cleaned up from socialist neoliberalists.
No? It was not.
No, it's not clean at all. Because Emmanuel Macron, this is what I said just before, is that because there are financial reasons that if you are elected as MP, you have to say the name of only one party, because a part of the salary you will get as an MP has to go to a party, and you can get only the name of one. And that's why Emmanuel Macron says that, no, you cannot be candidate for me if you are giving the money to the Socialist Party. Of course.
So they have to choose.
They have to choose. You cannot have a double identity. Yeah. So this is really like I think even the day of the result of the second round of this election, we'll have some surprises. We'll have to say like, oh my God, this MP is now an MP not of the Socialists but of
because what's going to be fun is that next week, basically from 14 to 19, candidates have to fill their application form, and they fill themselves who they want to be candidate for. And this is going to be very fun because political parties are expecting, even for the Greens are expecting to have some candidates somewhere, and the party will not know before the week after who registered to be candidate for themselves, for the party. Yeah. So the socialists might have lots of bad surprises, because they will discover that the people that they wanted to have as candidates will actually register with Macron.
Yeah. and we have to say that Jean-Luc Mélenchon is clearer than Emmanuel Macron to me, because he says that like nobody can be my candidate if this candidate is not with my logo, if I decide that he can put my picture on his leaflet and everything, it's clearer. I think it's easier. It's easier. If, for example, it's just a story, but Jean-Luc Mélenchon said to the communist candidate who supported him for the presidential election, and he wanted to put his picture on their campaign document, he said that he will put them in front of the justice, because he totally disagrees, because it's not their
because he loves his picture so much.
So yeah, that's not funny, but it's just a story.
It is funny.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, the mess is not over at all in France. And I think we have to wait until the 18th of June to know the political landscape for the next 5 years in France.
Yeah. In 1 week,
so when is it start?
The first round is on the 11th of June, and the second on the 18th of June.
And in 1 week, Macron will officially become the president. There will be the passation of powers between Hollande and next Sunday. And where Macron will get the codes for the nuclear bomb and stuff. and then he will also announce his, it's not funny, and he will announce his new government also. So everybody is now speculating on who is gonna put there, because of course who he puts gives a political direction, of course, to what he's gonna do, and will influence legislative elections.
And is he going to change it after the legislature?
Yes. Or not.
He can change it.
If he has his own majority at the parliament, he can keep the government that he has. If he loses having the majority, which might happen, there are big risks, as we talked about, then he will have to nominate someone from the new majority. Yeah. The risk is that there is no majority actually in this new parliament, and France will discover a new kind of political system, because basically we will need to make coalitions and I guess based on issues, more than we are not used to compromise in France, and to that political families kind of make alliances.
So true.
And that's why here we might get into a new system where, based on political issues that will be addressed to the parliament, there will be some coalitions but just on issues. But this is really new for
France.
Yeah.
Well, as a Belgian, I can say that Belgium can give a workshop on compromises.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think it's. I know that you. I don't know how that comes. Maybe you can mute from your side.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry.
Don't know if it's still happening now, but maybe it's time to close this session. It was very nice to have all these very interesting speakers today on board again. So thank you very much, Marie. Thank you very much, Niels. Thank you very much, Rosalie and Johan. I wish France all the best for the parliamentary elections coming up soon. We still have to decide if we will organize a new webinar for the legislative elections. I would be in favor, at least because French elections are just super interesting, and there's always so much happening and all the intrigues and the little stories, and it's so fascinating to see. So I'm very much looking forward. I don't know if the speakers have any closing remark before we close the session.
Yeah, closing statements. I love that. For me, it's the personal closing statement of my time in France, as I spent the last 8 months here, then the 3 months traveling, which was a really, really intensive time for my personal French-German relationship. And for me, everything was at stake. If they would have elected Marine Le Pen, it would have been like the end of a relationship where your partner just didn't betray you, but with your enemy from primary school or something like that. So I'm super, super happy that Asterix, l'Européen, and I can return to Germany in a train, having a good feeling, relief from all the fears that we had together. I'm really thankful to France, to all the friends and the Greens that were helping me on this tour. It was a great adventure. I can say to everybody that they should visit France. They should take 10 years because you need it to learn the French language. Below it isn't possible. Go for it and visit this beautiful country where the extreme right was once again defeated. There you go.
Well, I mean, I was.
Maybe a message of hope.
What?
A message of hope that the people in France.
Well, I won't be so hopeful. Maybe a less hopeful message now. No, I mean, yeah, of course, I think there was a big, there was a big attention that was drawn to this election, as much as there will be to the German elections in September. And yeah, after Trump, after Brexit, there was lots of fear about what would happen this weekend. I personally have never been afraid that she wins somehow. I don't know why. And yeah, I think this raised lots of hope. This campaign in general raised lots of new issues. They raised ecology was in the center of at least the first round, which had never happened before. Really, we always had a green candidate, but we always were totally inaudible. So there were some things that happened during this campaign, and it's unique in many ways, as you said in your introduction, Johan. Now it's not the best result that we could have hoped for, obviously, as Greens, as progressives, as maybe people who want to change a bit the way our society functions, and the way maybe Europe also functions, to build an alternative for the European Union as it is. It's, of course, this is not the best result that we would have had, would have hoped for, but now I guess our role will be to really monitor what Macron will be doing. That might go really well, as that might go really bad. For now, it's quite hard to say, just because we absolutely don't know this guy. But we will monitor, and of course the parliamentary elections we will report also, I guess, on FYEG side. And for sure there will be things happening at the European level. And this is important what happens in Germany, I guess, to build this common advancement for a social Europe and for a green Europe that is much needed if we want to avoid having the far right going that high in any other country. So yeah, long live the young Greens.
Conclusion word. So we have the parliamentary election in the next 5 weeks, but the election we'll have after in 2019 are the European elections. And to me, this is the most important thing we have on the agenda now. because the European project of Jean-Luc Mélenchon, who was really like the biggest challenger of this presidential and we'll see parliamentary election, his European project is the Plan B, and he was part of the DM25 of Yanis Varoufakis. And to me, there is really something to do with this project, because I think the green component could be stronger in there. And also, what has been said to Jean-Luc Mélenchon during his campaign was that he never had a plan; he only had a B plan. Because the plan A is the negotiation with the European Commission upon the treaty, to rewrite the treaties. So we all know that this is a very, 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 very difficult, to not say impossible. So yeah, to me, the way we will build the Europe in the perspective of the European election in 2019 must be on the top of our political agenda. Yeah.
Really good.
Okay. Do you, Johan, still have one question?
Johan?
Yes, I'm here. Okay, that to conclude, I would say that I'm not unhappy that the elections are done, because as you could understand, it was not easy to find a place during this election, and it will be difficult at the other elections, but they are not mediatic, I would say. So we will be able to talk about what we want to talk, and not just have to run after the media and the actualities. So it will be easier for young ecologists now. But we are actually, I am a bit sad of what happened, because we don't finish stronger of this election, and but it's quite of normal, because even Green Party don't stronger after that. But the ecology maybe will has earned something. So that's the most important, I think. And I hope it will continue, and we will try to be part of it. And what I want to say, it will be maybe difficult, or it will change in the next few months again. We'll have to find a new position, maybe. We'll do it, and we are preparing of it. And yeah, I hope it will be okay, and we will continue. Don't worry.
Okay, thanks a lot, Johan, for this. So now it's really time to close the session. Thanks a lot to all of you to speak, and also thanks a lot to our listeners. And within the Future of Europe Working Group, we are really reflecting on doing these webinars again. So maybe for the UK elections coming up as well, and on 8th of June, if I'm not wrong, for the French parliamentary elections, and then of course for the German elections, and then maybe Niels can join us again from Germany to talk us through the German elections. It was very nice to have you all again, and hope to see you next time again. And please give us feedback on the Facebook event or Facebook Messenger, by email, whatsoever. Just give us feedback. We can still improve the webinars, and I think it's a very good tool to use online.
Thanks a lot, Johan.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Have a good evening.